Greetings, agents of Overwatch. This is Professor Games coming at you with the Overwatch Files, a new series that'll be on this channel explaining every last Overwatch agent, Overwatch character, in vivid details about their abilities, their vulnerabilities, and how to most effectively use them in the game. These will be only basic tutorials, nothing overly advanced except for a few tricks I've learned here and there. But other than that, this will just be a simple rundown of the current state of Overwatch for anyone who is new to the game or wants to figure out how to best use a hero. In this episode, we will be covering the abilities and playstyle of Gengi. Now, a brief history. Gengi Shimada was once part of a notorious criminal organization known as the Shimada Clan, one of the biggest crime syndicates in Japan during the events of Overwatch. He and his brother Hanzo Shimada were trained to take over the family business and were trained in the ways of the ancient ninja. Both Gengi and Hanzo greatly surpassed any of their expectations from their father, but Gengi, being the youngest brother, was more interested in living the limelight than performing his act and doing his job for his clan, and was rather brash and arrogant. However, on one fateful day, Hanzo was ordered to kill Gengi for his disobedience towards the clan and their father. On that fateful day, Gengi was presumed dead, but instead was found by Overwatch, and his body was augmented and restored by Dr. Angela Ziegler, aka Mercy. With these cybernetic enhancements, Gengi assisted in bringing down the Shimada clan and their criminal empire, as well as help with many Overwatch operations during the organization's golden age. One particular note is his time in the Overwatch sub-faction known as the Blackwatch, led by Gabriel Reyes, aka the Reaper. Now, that is a brief summary on Gengi. Now let us move on to his weapons. As you can see, his distance weapons are shurikens. These can be fired in a burst-esque nature. I'm sure all of you who have used 3-pulsed rifles in previous games will know of this nature. His alternate fire with the left trigger or the L1 button for the PlayStation players, or the left click for all you PC players, I'm sure. This fires his shurikens in more of a 3-way scatter, allowing him to hit multiple targets. As you can see, one shuriken does a lot less damage than 3 in succession, but this can be helpful for covering an area around an objective. Genji's passive abilities include a double jump and the ability to wall climb, much like his brother Hanzo. Of course, Hanzo is only capable of a single jump. His abilities include his Sorry, I'm trying to find the button to his okay. Great work there, Professor. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the button for his nope. Ah, here they are. His included abilities are deflect and a blade dash. What this means is that Gengi will quickly dash into the direction towards an enemy and slash him with his secondary melee dagger. Now, the target has to have a certain amount of damage in order to kill them. However, if you then kill the enemy, it will instantly restore. But if not, you will have to wait a certain amount of time before regaining that ability. His second ability is obviously the deflect. If your enemy is shooting at you, you are able to deflect and even reflect their projectiles right back at them, causing a significant amount of damage. This can be devastating to a Bastion in turret mode, because all of those bullets will be deflected directly back at that Bastion. And now for Genji's ultimate ability, the Dragon Blade. This is sort of an uber melee attack, which allows Genji to move in, slap, and typically take out enemies with suboptimal health around, let's say, 200 to 300 health in 3 relative slashes, or 2 to 3 relative slashes. It will take longer for tank heroes to take them down due to their increased amount of health, but you will still be able to access your other abilities such as deflect and your blade dash. The only downside is you have only a limited amount of time to use the Dragon Blade. Now let's move on to tactics with Genji. Obviously, considering Genji only has 200 health, you cannot just go in charging, guns blazing, and expecting to just wipe out the enemy team. Genji is fast, but that does not make him invincible. You need to move very carefully in order to avoid some of the heavier hitting heroes with more firepower, such as Bastion, Reinhardt, etc. What I can most definitely recommend for Genji is use his agility to the best of your ability. Move around, make yourself a very, very hard target for the enemy. And if possible, be a diversion. So if the enemy sees you, they will begin shooting at you and waste some of their ammunition, which they could focus on for more well-armored heroes that have a lot more firepower behind them. As for how to counter tanks and such with Genji, it's important to use his cyber agility constantly. I can tell you from personal experience as a Reinhardt that Genji can be a very, very hard target to hit with that hammer. And in general, you just need to stay mobile and active with Genji. This can be very handy for either escorting a payload on certain maps or capturing an objective with others. As typical with any offensive, with some of them you can escorting a payload or attacking an objective point can do a miraculous job. However, when it comes to defending a payload or an objective marker, it could get a little more dicey. Especially because as the name implies for offensive viewers, they are meant to attack and typically do not have a lot of defensive capabilities, except for the standard find a good firing position and hold it. With Genji, you can't. With Genji, I mean, it's a rule in Overwatch, you gotta stay mobile. But with Genji, that is especially true. He is extremely effective in getting behind enemy lines and capturing an objective, payload or otherwise. You just need to know what you're doing with him. I myself, I've only recently begun practicing a lot with Genji, and I'm still learning a whole lot about him. Oh, and one more bit of bio I forgot to mention about Genji Shimada I should add on. after the fall of Overwatch, he became sort of a... He just became nomadic and wandering, and basically loathed his cybernetic augmentation until he met the Shimbali Omnic monk known as Zenyatta. Zenyatta helped Gengi to adapt to his cybernetic body and accept himself for who he is. That's just one little bit of bio I forgot to mention and figured I should add into this particular video. Now, as for Genji's shurikens, they can do damage if you manage to land the majority of them onto your target. But it's important to remember that the alt fire should only be used when you have multiple attackers, or when your opponent, when like your enemy is at a low point of health and they're moving around, that spreading out your shurikens will increase your chance of hitting them in terms of aiming for an area. Now again, these are just basic facts, and some of them I'm kind of just making up as I go along, so take what I say with a grain of salt, but all I can say is try using Genji more. To efficiently use Genji, be mobile, be swift, and don't attack your enemies directly. Get behind them, flank them, and try to cause a little bit of confusion within their defenses in order to help the rest of your team move in and finish them off. Thank you all so much for watching this installment of Overwatch Files. If you enjoy this series, please leave a like and share it with your friends. Leave a comment down below if you have any other further tips and tricks to perform with any of the heroes in this particular video. And as always, subscribe for more games from Professor Games. And I do believe that is all there is to say. And so, this has been Overwatch Files on Gengi, and this is Professor Games signing out. And not signing out. This is Professor Games, and I will see you in our next session. Thank you.